Have you ever noticed how, when life feels heavy, your English feels heavier too? Like your brain gets slower, your words get smaller, and suddenly, even simple sentences feel like a test you might fail. Maybe you know what I mean. You wake up already tired, your mind is full, work is stressful, or money is tight, or your family needs you, or you are carrying some quiet worry that no one sees. And then someone asks you something in English, a coworker in a meeting, a cashier at the store, a neighbor, and it is not even a difficult question, but your chest gets tight anyway. You start thinking too much. You translate in your head. You feel the pressure to sound normal, to sound smart, to sound like you. And in that moment, it can feel like English is not just a language. It feels like one more weight on your shoulders. And if that is you, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. Your English is not disappearing. You are human. When life feels heavy, your system goes into protection mode. Your brain tries to save energy. It tries to avoid risk. And speaking a second language, especially out loud, can feel like a risk, not because you are weak, but because you care. You care how you sound. You care how you are seen. You care about being understood. And that caring is not a problem. We just need to work with it instead of fighting it, because mental strength is not about being tough all the time. It is not about pushing your feelings down and pretending nothing affects you. Real mental strength is quieter than that. It is the ability to stay steady while things feel messy. It is the ability to keep showing up, even when you feel tired, even when your confidence is low, even when your English is not perfect. And today I want to talk to you like a real person about that. How to become mentally strong when life feels heavy. Not in an unrealistic, motivational poster kind of way. In a real way. The kind of strength that helps you walk into a meeting and still speak. The kind of strength that helps you have a conversation even when your mind is full. The kind of strength that helps you keep learning and improving without turning English into another reason to feel bad about yourself. Now, quick thing before we go deeper. If you like this kind of calm, real-world English practice, I would love if you subscribe to the channel, liked the video, and maybe shared in the comments what you struggle with most when life feels heavy. Is it confidence? Is it overthinking? Is it motivation? I read those, and it helps me make episodes that actually fit your real life. All right. Let us start with something I have seen again and again in my students, especially adult learners. When life is stable, your English grows faster, not because you suddenly became smarter, but because your nervous system is calmer. You have more patience. You have more energy to try. You are willing to make mistakes. You can handle that little moment of embarrassment when you say something weird and the other person looks confused. You can handle it because you have extra capacity, but when life feels heavy, your capacity shrinks. Your brain is like, no, not today. Today we survive. Today we do only what we have to do. And that is when English starts to feel scary again. That is when you start avoiding conversations. You stop volunteering in meetings. You keep your camera off. You keep your messages short. You use safe words. You stay quiet, not because you have nothing to say, but because you do not want to risk the feeling of failure. So, the first big idea I want to give you is this. Mental strength is not about forcing yourself to feel confident. It is about learning how to move forward, even without confidence. A lot of people think confident people are confident first, and then they act. But in real life, it is often the opposite. People act, even with shaking hands, and then confidence follows later. Not always immediately, but it grows. And if life feels heavy right now, you might not have the energy to build big confidence. That is okay. We are not trying to build big confidence. We are trying to build steady habits. Small proof to yourself that you can handle life and English at the same time. Let me make this very practical. Imagine you are in a meeting at work. You understand the conversation. You have an opinion. You want to say something, but your mind starts doing that thing where it races. You start writing the sentence in your head, rewriting it, fixing it, making it more polite, making it more professional. And while you are doing that, the moment passes. Someone else speaks, and then you tell yourself, I missed my chance. My English is not fast enough. I am not good at this. But what if, instead of waiting for the perfect sentence, you trained yourself to speak with a simpler one? Something like, I have a quick thought, or can I add something, or I see it a little differently, and then you say your idea in a basic, clear way. Not perfect, just deal. That is mental strength in English. It is choosing communication over performance. It is choosing to participate instead of trying to impress. When life feels heavy, your mind naturally wants control. That is normal. When you feel uncertain in life, you try to be certain in language. You try to make every sentence perfect because perfection feels like safety. But perfection is a trap. It makes you slower. It makes you quieter. And it makes you feel worse because you can never fully reach it. So here is a mindset shift that really helps. Your goal is not to speak perfect English. Your goal is to be understandable and present. Present means you are actually in the conversation, not trapped in your head. Present means you are listening, responding, reacting like a real person, not like a student taking a test. Present means if you do not know a word, you do not panic. You describe it. You go around it. You keep moving. And honestly, that is what native speakers do too. Native speakers forget words all the time. We change sentences in the middle. We restart. We say things like, wait, what is the word? We laugh. We correct ourselves. That is not failure. That is normal speech. Now let us talk about the heavy part of life. Because I do not want to pretend that mindset alone fixes everything. If you are tired, if you are stressed, if you are lonely, if you are carrying responsibility, your brain is going to feel slower. Your memory might feel worse. Your motivation might disappear. That does not mean you are getting worse at English. It means you are under load. Think about your mind like your phone battery. When you have a full charge, you can run a lot of apps. When your battery is low, your phone goes into low power mode. Some things shut down to keep you alive. Your brain does something similar. If life feels heavy, your brain may shut down the extra work, and speaking a second language is extra work. So, what do mentally strong people do? They stop judging themselves for being in low power mode. They adjust. They do not say, "What is wrong with me?" They say, "Of course this is harder right now," and then they make things smaller, more realistic, more gentle. For example, maybe you normally study English for an hour. But life is heavy, so instead of quitting completely and then feeling guilty, you choose 10 minutes. You choose one small action you can actually do. You listen while walking. You repeat a few phrases out loud in the car. You write one short message in English instead of avoiding it. This is a big part of mental strength that people do not talk about. Mental strength is not just pushing harder. Sometimes it is choosing a smaller goal and actually keeping it. And this matters because a lot of adult learners have an all or nothing mindset. Either I do everything perfectly or I do nothing. Either I speak fluently or I stay quiet. Either I study every day or I give up. That mindset feels logical, but it is actually emotional. It comes from fear. It comes from a need to protect yourself from disappointment. But life is not all or nothing. Language is not all or nothing. Your English grows when you stay connected to it, even in small ways, especially when life is heavy. Now I want to talk about something sensitive, but really important. When life feels heavy, a lot of people start isolating. You might spend more time alone. You might avoid social situations. You might think, I do not have the energy to talk. And in some seasons of life, that is completely understandable. Rest matters. Quiet matters. But isolation can also make your English confidence worse because speaking is a skill that needs warmth. It needs human connection. You do not build speaking confidence only by memorizing vocabulary. You build it by having real moments with people, even small ones. So, here is a gentle challenge. If life feels heavy, do not disappear completely. Stay connected in small, low-pressure ways. Maybe you do not go to a big event, but you talk to one friendly coworker for 2 minutes. Maybe you do not join a long group conversation, but you ask a simple question at the store. Maybe you do not feel like speaking much, but you still say, "Hey, how is it going?" to the neighbor. Those small moments keep your English alive. They keep you brave. They remind your brain that you can speak even when you do not feel amazing. And this connects to another key idea. Mentally strong people do not wait to feel ready. They practice being ready. Readiness is not a feeling that magically arrives. It is something you build by showing yourself again and again that you can handle it. You can handle the awkward moment. You can handle a mistake. You can handle someone not understanding you the first time. You can handle repeating yourself. You can handle asking, "Sorry, can you say that again?" Let me tell you something I have watched happen so many times. A student will speak and they will make a small mistake. Maybe they say, "he go" instead of "he goes." Or they say, "I am agree" instead of "I agree." And immediately their face changes. They look down. They apologize. They stop. Their energy drops. But the native speaker they are talking to usually does not care. They understand. They move on. The real damage is not the mistake. The real damage is the story the student tells themselves in that second. The story is, "I sound stupid." The story is, "They are judging me." The story is, "I should not talk." Mental strength is learning to interrupt that story. When you make a mistake, you can simply keep going, or you can quickly correct it and move on. But you do not need to punish yourself. You do not need to apologize for your English existing. And if you want a simple phrase that helps a lot, here it is. Let me say that again. That one sentence gives you power. It gives you space. It keeps you in control without making it a big, dramatic moment. Now, I also want to address the pressure many adult learners feel to sound professional, especially at work. If you are using English in meetings, presentations, emails, that pressure is real. You are not just trying to communicate. You are trying to protect your reputation. You are trying to be respected. You are trying to advance your career. So, here is what I tell my students. Professional English is not perfect English. Professional English is clear English. Clear means your listener can follow you. Clear means you use simple structure. Clear means you do not hide behind complicated words. Clear means you say what you mean. In fact, one of the most professional things you can do is speak simply and confidently. Not fast, not fancy, just steady. And there is something else. When life feels heavy, you might not have the emotional energy to be social in English. That is real. Some days you just want to be quiet. So, instead of forcing yourself into long conversations, focus on being effective. If you need to speak in a meeting, have 1 or 2 sentences ready, not a full speech, just a simple way to enter the conversation. If you need to talk to a client, practice the first 30 seconds. If you need to make small talk, learn 2 safe questions you can ask anyone, like, "How has your week been?" or "Are you working on anything interesting right now?" You see what we are doing here. We are lowering the burden. We are not asking you to be a comedian or a storyteller on a day when life feels heavy. We are helping you function, connect, and keep your confidence intact. Because confidence is not only built by big wins, confidence is built by not quitting on yourself. Now let us go deeper into the mental side. When life feels heavy, your mind tends to time travel. It goes into the future and worries. Or it goes into the past and regrets. And that time travel makes speaking harder because speaking requires presence. You need to be here in this moment with this person using the words you have right now. So, if you want to feel mentally stronger, practice coming back to the moment, not in a mystical way, in a very simple way. When you are about to speak English and you feel that tight feeling, take 1 slow breath, feel your feet on the floor, relax your jaw, relax your shoulders, and then start with a simple phrase. The reason this helps is because your body and your language are connected. If your body is tense, your speech will be tense. If your body is calm, your speech flows more naturally. I have watched students unlock fluency just by slowing down and relaxing their face. Seriously, sometimes the problem is not vocabulary, it is tension. And tension comes from fear. So, let us talk about fear. Fear of mistakes, fear of sounding childish, fear of being judged, fear of not being respected, fear of freezing, fear of forgetting everything. Here is the truth. Fear does not leave because you wait. Fear leaves because you prove to yourself that you can survive it. You survive a mistake. You survive an awkward pause. You survive saying, "Sorry, what does that mean?" You survive not understanding a joke. You survive asking someone to repeat. You survive. And each time you survive, your brain learns, "Oh, that was uncomfortable, but I did not die. I am still okay. I can do it again." That is mental strength. It is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to carry fear and still speak. Now, I want to connect this back to thinking in English, because this is one of the biggest blocks I see when life is heavy. When you are stressed, you translate more. Your brain wants certainty, so it runs everything through your first language. But translation is slow, and it makes you feel stuck. So what can you do instead, especially when you are tired? You can think in smaller English. A lot of people think thinking in English means having deep, complex thoughts in English all day. No, start small, think in simple sentences, in phrases, in reactions. When something happens, give it a simple label in English. This is stressful. That was annoying. I am tired today. This is taking forever. I need a break. I am not sure. That makes sense. I do not think so. Those are real thoughts, and they are the kinds of thoughts you actually need in conversation. And if you catch yourself translating, do not get angry. Just notice it and gently switch back. Ask yourself, how would I say this in a simple way in English? Simple is your friend when life is heavy. Simple is strong. Let me give you a real-life example. Imagine you are traveling and you have a problem. Your flight is delayed. You are at the counter. You feel tired and irritated. Your English is not at its best. In that situation, you do not need perfect grammar. You need calm, clear sentences. My flight was canceled. I need help rebooking. What are my options? Can I get a hotel voucher? When is the next flight? Can you put me on that one? That is it. That is strong English. That is mentally strong communication. Not emotional, not complicated. Direct, calm, clear. And if the person speaks too fast, you can say, "Sorry, can you slow down a little?" Or, "Can you say that one more time?" Those are powerful phrases. They protect your mind when life is heavy. They give you space. Now, something else that makes life feel heavy is comparing yourself to other people. Maybe you compare your English to coworkers who speak smoothly. Maybe you compare yourself to influencers online who sound perfect. Maybe you compare yourself to who you think you should be by now. Comparison drains you. It makes you forget your progress. It makes you feel behind even when you are improving. So a mentally strong practice is to compare yourself only to yourself, not in a strict way, in an honest way. Ask yourself, what can I do now that I could not do 6 months ago? Maybe you can handle phone calls better. Maybe you can understand meetings more. Maybe you can speak longer without stopping. Maybe you can joke a little. Maybe you can recover after mistakes. Those are real wins, and they matter. And I want to say something I wish more adult learners believed. You do not need to feel confident to be impressive. You can be impressive by being consistent, by showing up, by communicating, by being dependable. People respect that. I have had students who speak with an accent, who make small mistakes, but they are calm and clear. They ask good questions. They follow up. They do what they say they will do, and everyone trusts them. Their English is not perfect, but their presence is strong. That is what people remember. Now let us talk about emotional weight. Maybe life feels heavy because you are going through something personal, a breakup, family issues, health concerns, immigration stress, homesickness, or just that long-term tiredness from carrying too much for too long. In those seasons, your English might feel more emotional too, because English is connected to your identity. Sometimes you want to express deeper feelings, but you do not have the exact words. That can feel lonely. So here's a different kind of practice that helps mental strength. Learn to express your feelings in simple English without needing perfect emotional vocabulary. You can say, "I have a lot on my mind. I have been stressed lately. I am dealing with some personal stuff. It has been a hard week. I am not feeling myself today. I am just a bit overwhelmed. I need some time." Those are normal phrases. Native speakers use them. And when you can say them, you feel more human in English. You stop feeling like a robot who only talks about work tasks and schedules. You can be real, and being real is mentally strong because it takes courage, especially in a second language. At the same time, you do not owe everyone your full story. Mental strength also means having boundaries. Maybe at work, you just say, "I am not feeling great today, but I will get it done." Or, I have something personal going on, but I am managing. That is enough. Now, I want to talk about a specific moment that many learners fear: the blank moment. When someone asks you something and your mind goes blank. First, that happens to native speakers too, more than you think. But in your second language, it feels more dramatic because you start judging yourself. So, what do? You buy time. You use natural time phrases. Let me think for a second. That is a good question. Give me a moment. How should I put this? I am not sure, but I think. Let me see. These phrases are not cheating. They are communication tools. They are also mental strength tools. They prevent panic. They keep you steady. And if you truly do not know, you can say, I am not sure, but I can get back to you. Or, I do not have the answer right now. Let me check, and I will follow up. That is professional. That is mature. That is strong. Now, another thing that makes life feel heavy is when you feel like everything depends on you sounding good. Like one mistake could ruin your image. That pressure is exhausting. So, I want you to remember this. Most people are not listening to your English the way you are listening to your English. You are hearing every small error. You are hearing your accent. You are hearing your pauses. Other people are usually hearing your meaning. They are thinking about their own day, their own stress, their own problems. They are not grading you. And even if someone does judge you, that says more about them than about you. A mentally strong person does not build their identity on one person's opinion. They keep going. Let us also be honest. Some environments are not kind. Some workplaces are impatient. Some people interrupt. Some people do not listen carefully. If you are in that situation, it is not only your English. It is the environment. Mental strength in that case means advocating for yourself. It might mean saying, sorry, can I finish my point? Or, just to clarify. Or, I want to make sure I understand. Or, can we slow down a bit? You deserve space to speak. And here is something I tell my students who feel small in English. Do not apologize for taking space. Speak like you belong there, because you do. Now, I want to give you a calm routine you can do on heavy days, something I have seen work really well. On days when you feel mentally tired, do not try to practice everything. Practice stability. Listen to English that feels familiar, not stressful. Something you can understand without effort. Repeat a few short phrases out loud, quietly, just to keep your mouth used to English rhythm. Send one message in English. Say one sentence to someone in real life. That is enough. And at the end of the day, instead of asking, was my English perfect? Ask, did I stay connected to English today? Did I show up? That question builds mental strength because it rewards effort, not perfection. And over time, something really interesting happens. Your brain starts to associate English with normal life, not performance. English becomes part of your day, not a stage where you are judged. That is when fluency starts to feel natural. Now, I want to share a personal style reflection from teaching. I have taught people who were extremely talented, strong vocabulary, great grammar, but they were fragile when they spoke. One small mistake, and they collapsed emotionally. They would stop talking for weeks. They would say, I cannot do this. I am too old. I am not talented. And I have taught other people who were not as advanced, but they were mentally steady. They made mistakes and kept going. They laughed. They asked questions. They tried again. and they improved faster, not because their brain was better, but because their mindset allowed them to practice more. That is why I believe confidence matters more than perfection. Perfection makes you tense. Confidence makes you flexible. And confidence is not loud. Confidence is simply trusting that you can handle the moment. So if you want to become mentally strong when life feels heavy, here is a truth that might help you. You do not need to fix your whole life to speak better English. You need to build small mental habits that protect your energy. One habit is lowering your standard in the moment, not lowering your goals long term, just lowering the pressure right now. Instead of trying to be impressive, try to be clear. Another habit is forgiving your brain when it is tired. Your brain is not a machine. If it needs more time, give it more time. Another habit is speaking anyway, even in a small way. One sentence, one question, one comment. You do not need to dominate the conversation. Just participate. Another habit is letting mistakes pass through you. Do not hold them. Do not replay them all day. Say, okay, that happened, and move forward. And another habit is focusing on what you can control. You can control your pace. You can control your breath. You can control asking for clarification. You can control practicing a little. You cannot control whether you feel perfect. You cannot control whether you sound like a native speaker. You cannot control whether someone is impatient. But you can control your response. That is mental strength. Now, I want to close with this feeling. If life feels heavy right now, do not use English as a reason to be harder on yourself. Let English be a place where you practice being kinder to yourself, where you practice showing up imperfectly, where you practice being brave in small moments. Because that is what you are really doing when you speak a second language. You are practicing courage. You are practicing patience. You are practicing resilience. And one day you will look back and realize your English improved, yes, but also you became stronger. Not because life got easier, but because you learned how to carry weight and still move. So today, wherever you are listening to this, I want you to take one slow breath and remind yourself, I do not need to be perfect. I just need to be present. I can speak in simple English. I can take my time. I can make mistakes and keep going. I can handle this moment. And if today is a heavy day, keep it small. One sentence, one message, one tiny act of courage. That is enough. That is real strength.